Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy MLK, Martin Luther King Day. Um, I have a question for you. Right now, at this point in your life, and at this point in 2024, how happy are you about the quality of your relationships? In your personal and professional relationships, are you fulfilled? If so, why? If not, why not? Hey, I'm Jamal Jones. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist based out of Fresno, California, and I help individuals, couples, and organizations take inspired action with more clarity, confidence, and courage. And today, I want to help you have more clarity around the health of your personal and professional relationships. Recently, I was in a conversation with a couple, and in essence, one person in a relationship, this couple is unmarried, dating, and one person approached the other about an old interest that had came into their life and basically asked for permission to kind of see how things would go with a past crush they had in years past, and they weren't expecting this person to come back into their life, but they were in this relationship with this new person, and with this person's permission, they would have a clear conscience in, dating this old fling. And so the partner agreed to it, said, "Go right ahead. If you want to explore that, I support you." And so one person actually ended up pursuing that other relationship. And what it did was it created more tension between the two of them because they were dating, again, not married, not engaged, but romantically involved. And they've been dating for quite some time. But now it felt awkward for them in this relationship because the question comes up, well, how do you define this relationship? And so as a licensed marriage and family therapist, I get lots of questions from both singles, couples who are engaged, couples who are married about relationships and how to improve communication, negotiation, resolve conflict, compromise, all those things. And so here's the things to consider. When you're unmarried and you're dating, there are different levels to these relationships. When you meet someone, you might decide to go out on a date with that person. And one of the best ways I've heard it in years past is a date is like a one-time event. When you agree to go on a date with a person, that does not mean that you're committing to a long-term relationship or anything beyond that date. If you like the date and you want to go on it again, you can have a follow-up date. At that point in time, you're dating, but it's still inclusive, meaning that you're dating, but both of you have the freedom to date other people if you would like to. At some point, let's say that you had that first date and you continue dating. Well, if there's a mutual interest, at some point, somebody has a responsibility to redefine that relationship and say, okay, we've been dating and it's been inclusive, but now because we've been on a few dates and I'm getting more emotionally invested in this, and I really would like to have more of some kind of commitment, you can now transition from dating inclusively to dating exclusively, meaning that you are now dating and you now have a mutual agreement and understanding that neither of you are going to go out on a date with anybody else. You're now, in essence, boyfriend and girlfriend. Now, another phase, when you go from inclusive dating to exclusively dating, as you progress, dating is like trying to assess, is this a good fit? As we're dating now exclusively, we want to determine the goodness of fit for this relationship. If you feel like it's a good fit, then a next step could be a proposal and engagement. And if you can survive the engagement, you can move toward a wedding. But the point is, when you're building this romantic relationship, you want to define the relationship along the way. And the better you are at having these milestones where both of you come together and have an honest conversation and agree on how do you want to define this relationship, that's going to help you manage expectations, communicate, set boundaries, and be realistic in maintaining that trust in a relationship. Other examples of defining relationships, sometimes when you're a professional and you're interacting in different settings, you meet people in a professional context. That's important to note. When you meet somebody professionally, for example, I myself, I work in mental health. So of course, I'm going to be networking and building relationships with other mental health care providers on the basis of our licensure and profession, things of that nature. But also, when you're interacting with a leader of a nonprofit or a pastor who is on staff at a church, you have to remind yourself that that pastor is on staff at that church. They have a duty and responsibility to the church. The church pays their bills, or the nonprofit pays their bills. So they have a scope of practice and scope of responsibility as to why they're engaging you. More oftentimes, they need volunteers. They're recruiting staff. They're engaging you because they're shepherding you or ministering you because you're under their congregation or you have a mutual connection. But that pastor is still a professional. That therapist, that accountant, that dentist, that lawyer, they're all still professionals. And part of being professional is cultivating healthy relationships. But it's important for you to define these relationships, because when you define it as a professional relationship or a personal relationship, that's going to help as time goes on. Because when you have a job change, or you change churches, or you change lawyers, or you change dental offices, it helps with the expectation that when you were that person's client, they treated you like a client and they cared for you like a client. And for you to change situations, there are some people who place such a value on relationships. They want to continue to nurture you and care for you and support you, regardless of whether or not you're their client or not. But there are other people who, if you aren't their client, they want to move on and cultivate the clients they do have, or the church members they do have, because again, they just have so much responsibility themselves. So one of the best things that you can do to protect your mental health and for you to have healthy boundaries is for you to be proactive about how you define each relationship. Is this relationship inclusive? Is it exclusive? Do we want to be engaged? Do we want to be married? Do I want to be a member of this church? Do I want to be a part of this business or this organization? Do I want to be in this network? And as you define what your values are, that's going to help inform you on how to define each relationship. A lot of times what I find in counseling is that people aren't thinking about these things and they have these expectations. Sometimes they don't even know about them until it comes up in counseling. And then as a therapist, we get to walk through helping them gain more clarity around what's been happening in their lives. And ultimately, they end up in a better place. But oftentimes, you can avoid some pain, some drama by taking the time to define each relationship for what it is. And in doing so, it's going to be better for your short and long-term mental health. I hope this helps someone. God bless you and be encouraged.